not, because if the burn player wasn't able to kill the Tron player before this, then
they're not doing it after.
Exactly. 6 points of life gain is not putting Short any closer to that kill.
Well, Sam on the play with a Goblin Guide hits in for 2, both players to 18. Anneliese's top card is a Relic of Progenitus.
Is that Natural Tron?
So when you say Natural Tron, we say you have Tron piece plus map. Does natural mean no map?
I believe she just has 3 Tron pieces.
She has Tower. I caught that one. I like it when the map's a decoy, right?
Oh yeah. Your other person's just like, okay, this is going to be fine. But then they play the Relic on 2, and you just go,
really?
Oh, no.
Now, against a multiple guide draw, that can actually race Natural Tron. We'll see what Sam has the second turn.
Yeah, guide is kind of one of the pieces that Short is going to need to kill Faustino before Worm Coil comes online. But, you tap out for this Worm Coil, then you have to pass. Burn gets an extra turn after that.
Goblin Guide the first turn to 18. It's going to be worth about 6 points here, you'd have to think. It's hard for Anneliese to remove this without a dismember.
You know what we call that?
All right, now it's Natural Tron for sure. So it attacks in for 2 more, and we see Eidolon of the Great Revel. But here's the joke. She doesn't have to cast any more spells into that.
Oh, yeah, and...
there's just so much Tron in this hand?
Her art doesn't match.
No.
Boo!
But I do like that she plays the mind that was revealed with Goblin Guide.
Oh, you have to. Or
just for the BS. Oh, it's just play the other mind?
Message. No. You don't play a mine. You play Tower and keep the mine on the field.
That's so rude.
Keep it like your revealed cards thing. Put Tower and hold eye contact.
All right, so Emma, we do have for next turn for Anneliese, 3rd Tron piece plus Worm Coil. Now, she's going to 12 on this hit. Now, the question will be whether that's good enough. This has been a great start from Sam.
Yeah, both players have kind of had what they need in order to win, and it's going to come down to if Short has that skull crack that he needs or just the natural burn to just deal 12 points of damage without Faustino untapping again.
Second Eidolon from Sam. That's not the follow-up I was looking for out of burn.
That ain't it, Chief.
And a pass with no other plays. This is an opportunity.
And with that Ulamog on top, if Faustino just has another land as well, she can just mop up Short's lands.
Right, here's the Worm Coil engine. Now, to make Ulamog next turn, she'll need a Tower specifically.
Exactly.
And has other cards in hand that I think in the face of 2 Eidolons, she's just not going to cast.
No, and it's hard to imagine that she's too heartbroken over that. You have a Worm Coil engine.
Question here is, because all of Sam's burn is through creatures, even with a skull crack, it's hard for him to make more progress here.
Yeah, at this point, and I don't know if the Great Revel actually does have a drawback.
Yeah. On this board, it's not doing much for him. He's gotten Faustino to 12. Where to from here?
Yeah, if Short doesn't just have the skull crack, this is likely just going to be lights out.
Yeah, didn't have that 3rd land, so can only... it's really hard to make this damage add up, right? Even with skull cracks. It feels like he needs to have about 3 skull cracks for this to work. And Anneliese picking up a copy of Ugin the Spirit Dragon may make all of this not matter.
Right, so there was a point where Faustino had to weigh, if Short does have that skull crack, she dies if she attacks.
Right. Skull crack means that Sam takes the 6, she gains nothing, he attacks back for 6, throws a bolt at Lava Spike, and we're going to game 2.
Exactly, but... that's not the case with this Ugin because Ugin can mop up Short's creatures.
Right, so Ugin here is the safe play. See, she makes Sanctum of Ugin. Right, you minus it, take care of all the creatures, attack, and if there's a skull crack, you go to 9.
Oh, no.
I mean, okay, that means if that's an untap and 3 lava spikes, you lose, but okay, you weren't beating that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of just have to take those.
Ugin the Spirit Dragon from Anneliese. -2, going to clean that one up. Worm Coil swings in, connects a gain of 6. Now the question is there a skull crack? If she gains the 6, I don't see him coming back.
We see a pause, 2.
There's a skull crack.
Right.
Okay, Sam's still in it.
Okay.
Anneliese drops to 9.
We have a game.
Though Sam drops to 9 here as well, and Anneliese does have 9 damage on the board, right? A Worm Coil and a plus from Ugin.
Look, sometimes you don't even need to gain the life.
Yeah, that -2. So Sam has to win this turn. Both players at 9. Can he? And 9 points of damage, there's really only one way Sam does this. And a second Skullcrack doesn't matter anymore here.
No, you'll just die. It doesn't matter if your opponent doesn't gain life if you are at 0 life.
And it's one of those situations where a pause of this length has to feel good from the Tron side.
Oh, yeah, all right, well, my opponent's BMing me. Or...
right, if he pauses this long and then shows you 3 lava spikes, you're just, okay.
Well, I'd be upset if my 2-land opponent shows me 3 lava spikes and says, you're dead, right?
Right.
Ooh.
And 3 upstairs, Sam, yeah, he passed the turn with the Skullcrack up, but he's down to 6. And this just isn't going to matter. Anneliese holding the Sanctum Vugan just to be sure she'll Ulamog away the lands. Cracking Sanctum, and Sam picks up the cards, and the Tron train just keeps on rumbling here. Another game win. This is going to be the 11th straight round.
She's going to do it. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Things are going good. And from this situation, though, the streak has to keep going. A third loss would stop top 8.
Oh, with her, her breakers are not great after a go-to.
17th going into the round. I know I've had tournaments like this that I played where I've lost the first 2. You're not thinking about the third loss. What you're hoping is that if you win out to 12-2, you're hoping you can take a draw, which isn't even guaranteed.
Exactly. That's the type of situation where you go, well, maybe I can lock up 7th.
Right. So let's look at the sideboards. On Sam Short's burn side, he's got a Deflecting Palm, 3 Searing Blood, 3 Rest in Peace, 2 Stony Silence. It feels like just everybody's registered that card this weekend.
Oh, you have to.
Right.
You don't want to just die to Ironworks.
Even decks that aren't white decks are registering it, right?
Oh, yeah, they become white decks. It's nice.
Just for this card.
Oh, yeah, we see it out of the Is It Phoenix boards, for example, where they go, it's free. I got a lot of fetch land.
3 Path to Exile, a Relic of Progenitus, and 2 Smash to Smithereens. Now, I'm mostly looking at this artifact hate on Sam's side.
Right, and this is a situation where normally Short would rather have more copies of Smash to Smithereens to tag things like Expedition Map and just kind of chug along on his fairly linear game plan. But on the play, Stony Silence is going to be fine against all the chromatic cards to turn off Sylvan Scrying, Expedition Map getting shut off, just forcing Faustino to have that natural Tron again.
On Annaliese's side, an Emrakul, 3 Thought-Knot Seer, 2 Spatial Contortion, 3 Thragtusk, 3 Surgical, and 3 copies of Nature's Claim.
So here you kind of just tend to morph into a little bit of a fairer game. You don't need 100 drop to win. You just need, say, a Thragtusk and a Wormcoil, which, those are close to 100 drops.
Force them to have more Skullcracks.
Exactly, and you even get to bring in Nature's Claim and just start targeting your own artifacts to build life gain spells, because if you just have time, you'll win.
Right. Now, I know you're not a Deflecting Palm fan out of burn, but once they're in the list,
right?
Do you bring them in here?
Yeah, it turns off the Wormcoil just because it's Deflecting Palm actually dealing the damage.
Okay,
not
so
the original creature. It prevents the damage.
So it is a 6-point burn spell, not a 0.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Okay,
yeah.
And then same could be true with Thragtusk here.
Exactly. So just ways to kind of flip those big threats from Faustino on their head. We're saying she's taking more of a mid-range line, but if we're being honest, it's still a pretty big mid-range deck.
Yeah. Are you mid-ranging as far as to Thought-Knot Seer or just the Thragtusks because they gain life?
Thought-Knot Seer's a little bit closer. It depends how much Faustino's looking to sideboard out. Some of the things like Oblivion Stone are a little bit mopey, just a ton of mana for something that's not very effective. You're not always necessarily going to be excited by things like Walking Ballista. So depending on how many cards she's looking to bring in, she could end up trying to find room for these Thought-Knot Seers.
Now, Star City Games Game Night is taking place all at stores around the country. You can win tokens and sleeves just for playing. For January, we're giving away the Perdukin. This is our 1/1 Blue Cat Wizard token. You can still get it. Still half a month left of this cat.
Don't remind me. I changed my mind. Remind me.
Okay. You can still win this one, and you can find locations at starcitygames.com/game night where you can win them. Now, next month, we are giving away Yeti Steady Go, this Yeti 3/3 Green Beast token, and in March, we'll be giving away Vini Vidi Armadici for your Sand Warrior decks. That is just ridiculous, but I know you play some of them.
Did you just pluralize decks in Sand Warrior decks?
Yes. Yeah. It goes
Tell
in
me
all
both
sorts
Sand
of them.
Warrior decks.
Both
of them.
They're both commander decks. They're just different commander decks.
All right, who's the different commander?
You don't have to. He doesn't have to be the commander of your commander deck to need Sand Warrior tokens.
Oh, right. They're just Sand Warrior token decks that aren't.
You don't even know that. You don't even know
commander.
the guy. Yeah.
It's Hazazon something out of Legends.
There we go. Yeah. This is Hazazon Tamar.
Bless you.
Sam on the play here. Starting out great that time with the Goblin Guide on the play, but the follow-up of 2 Eidolons was just not right for the matchup.
No, that's the type of situation where you end up feeling like you have to develop those cards sooner because they'll be worth more damage that way. But it can just backfire a little bit sometimes where they might just not be worth damage if your opponent has interaction.
Yeah, the second Eidolon, I was hoping to see a different play available from Sam's side.
Right, and that could have just been the make or break there, where if instead of playing that card, Short had played something like a Lightning Helix or a Boros Charm.
Yeah.
Faustino would have been at 6, and that's a lot different than 9.
Yeah, I think as it turns out, the Ugin draw at the end may have made all this irrelevant.
Exactly.
But Sam may have been able to force a situation where if the Ugin draw didn't happen, he would be able to win.
Right, and it definitely shrunk some of Short's outs where, let's say this Wormcoil connects, and even if it's not an Ugin, just anything that answers these cards or invalidates them, what if it's another Wormcoil?
Sam keeping on 6, scrying to the top. Anneliese on 7. And we'll start out this time with just a Rift Bolt.
And this is kind of the thing where we're not super excited to have this Rift Bolt, but some hands you just have to keep with burn because you need a high quantity of resources in order to win.
You don't want to go to 5, but at the same time, this is the matchup where you really want those creatures. They're worth a lot more damage.
Exactly. They're the things that are, getting in. We talked about that Goblin Guide being worth 6 points last game.
Tron piece plus map for Anneliese. She's got the second Tron piece in hand, so we are online for turn 3 Tron.
This is a big turn for Short. This is the point where if he has a Smash to Smithereens, has a Stony Silence, those are the cards that can actually force Faustino to have natural Tron after he turns off this map in some shape.
Well, does not get a Sacred Foundry, so not Stony Silence, but maybe Smash. Smithereens would take care of the map before she untaps. And it's going to be Eidolon of the Great Revel instead. And Emma, this is the second game where I feel like these Eidolons out of Sam's deck just aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, it's one of the first cards that you tend to reach for when you're boarding cards out, but it's rare that you actually have 8 cards that you really are that excited to be bringing in here.
Right.
So it may just be that this is the lone or the last copy of Eidolon in the deck.
Well, Goblin Guide finally is drawn, but what news it shows, there's a Wormcoil on top. Now, this is actually interesting if Anneliese doesn't have a Wormcoil in hand.
You still probably just have to crack the map, even though it does not feel very good. Missing your land drop is just not acceptable.
When the land drop's Tron, your deck's called Tron, you just have to prioritize that above all else.
Exactly. Most of your mulligan decisions, your game decisions, and so on are prioritizing those first 3 land drops and making sure they're the lands that you want to be dropping.
And he finds third Tron piece. Her draw for the turn is Walking Ballista, which does play here with 7 mana. And just kidding, had the Wormcoil in hand, that's going to be the play.
I think I pieced together why she was okay shuffling that other one away.
I mean, I do want the second one, but but you mentioned before, kind of that one Wormcoil is all you really need in the matchup.
Exactly. It's very rare people are going, oh, thank goodness I had the second Wormcoil.
Yeah. Now, is there a chance that there's a Path to Exile hiding in Sam's hand?
It could be a path. He did tank a little bit on the second turn, so we may see something like a Smash to Smithereens here where Short just said, you know what, you can have your Tron, but Wormcoil is the card that matters, so let's take that out.
Now, if it's Smash to Smithereens, he actually has to be careful about how he times that. Right, so if he wants to deny lifelink.
Correct.
It's going to be Boros Charm. It sends Anneliese to 9, Sam to 12.
You're not going to win by not playing your spells. It might not feel good, but...
Just a couple of cards left in Sam's hand. He's going to need a Smash to Smithereens or a Skullcrack or a Path to Exile to prevent this life gain.
Yeah, this is kind of the drawback of having things like Stony Silence in your deck pointed directly at Ironworks, is you weaken your deck against some of the artifacts that don't really need to activate an ability to get there.
See, over on Annelise's side, an Ulamog in hand, a Walking Ballista. A lot of good follow-up on the untap.
Short at this point, likely, assuming that he doesn't have the Skullcrack, is trying to figure out, all right, I'm pretty close to losing this game. What does a game that I win from here look like?
Just has to pass. Looks like Thought-Knot Seer out of the board in Annelise's hand.
That could be nice. That's the way you don't just get got by something like a Deflecting Palm.
Right, she doesn't have another land, and a lot of, looks like a Sphere and 2 stars in hand. So Eidolon is doing work this game, even if it's not doing damage.
Right.
The other thought here looks to be Walking Ballista.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where Anneliese is just figuring out if she wants to be careful or if she wants to be aggressive.
Decides that Thought-Knot Seer is the play, taps 4 for it.
This is a nice line just because Anneliese has probably won this game as long as she doesn't lose this game. So taking a resource away from short is the thing that's most likely to do that, right? These creatures aren't worth that much.
So this will look at Sam's hand. He gets a card. He's going to cast Smash to Smithereens in response. So Anneliese will drop to 6. Does get 2 Wormcoil tokens. So instead of 6 lifelink on the board, it's now 3 power of lifelink. But it can't attack this turn.
Right. That's a very, very big deal.
She'll get a card from Sam's hand. And reach over here for some worm tokens.
All right. Well, so on one hand, you're a little bit upset because you didn't get to take anything with Thought-Knot Seer. On the other hand, you're happy because what you wanted to happen is for sure to not have anything left after this Thought-Knot Seer.
Thought-Knot Seer showed just lands in Sam's hand, so he's going to need another way to defend from this lifelink. He draws a card and passes.
This is lethal from Faustino.
It's just 10, yeah.
This has been a painful Eidolon.
Well, especially she has a Walking Ballista in hand, so it's over lethal here.
Oh, right.
I agree. I like the full attack, and if Sam doesn't double block, he might go to 3, and then she can just win with the Ballista.
Exactly. Exactly. This is the point where, ooh, she just doesn't have to attack and can make it look like he's, dead to a Bolt or an Ugin or something.
Right.
There is a drawback that Sam may decide to try to get out from under his own Eidolon.
Yeah, if he double blocks the Thought-Knot Seer, he goes to 4, gets a card, and then Anneliese decides it's still a good attack. She's going to go for it.
This might be a little bit ugly.
The double block line may give Sam an extra chance.
Right, because short here just needs, so he has 1 card that Anneliese doesn't know about. He gets to draw a card off the Thought-Knot Seer, and then he gets another card for turn if he survives.
I have one. Now, can she overkill the Goblin Guide on a double block? I don't believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, so on the double block, right, if she just overkills the Goblin Guide, plays Ballista, and shoots Sam to 2,
that's it.
then it's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she can assign all 4 damage to the Goblin Guide. It's kind of a sneaky way of locking him out on that block.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Whole game riding on this combat step, it feels like.
Yeah, based on that line, I don't know that Sam has a good block here.
No, not particularly.
It's Lightning Helix. He takes 2, goes to 8. Helix on, I assume, the lifelink token.
Right. That's the thing that actually keeps short in this game.
Well, the issue here is, so now he's at 8. And he doesn't have a 6-point burn spell to draw to.
Correct. But what he could do is he could theoretically block just the Thought-Knot Seer with Eidolon.
Okay.
And then, if he draws something like Deflecting Palm, that buys him another turn.
Yeah, Deflecting Palm would do that. Trickier with Walking Ballista, if that's Annelise's follow-up.
Walking Ballista just ruins combat. I cannot be expected to figure out how Walking Ballista is going to affect 2 combat steps.
The first thing is he needs to make a block here so that he's not dead to Walking Ballista as a follow-up.
Right.
If he takes the full damage here, which I believe he did, he went to 4. Now this Ballista can just shoot him to 2, and that should do it.
Right, exactly. We see the Ballista on the way out.
That was not the right block, and so now this 3/3 Ballista, Anneliese says, go, Sam can't cast any spells. And he says, no, I don't. Points of Ballista, no, but she does not take damage from it. That is converse mana cost 6. Yeah, and with Sam at 4, this looks like win number 11.
Anneliese just waiting on short to make the mistake of casting a spell, as, you know, burn players usually do.
And a draw. Yeah, Sam, no choice but to just pass here. Anneliese draws, and, you know, she can just use this Ballista to shoot for the victory. There's a lot of lines here, but they all are going to lead to the same place.
Oh, yeah, you just charge up the walking cannon here.
Legacy Classic player, is that at the end of round 4?
And I love the line.
One.
Yep. She's playing this the safest way. Counter on Ballista. And second counters. And this plays around things like Deflecting Palm. So 1, 2 damage to Sam. Shows 2 lands, and there's the handshake. This is the 11th straight win for Anneliese Faustino. A 2-0 victory over Sam Short keeps her in contention